Hey, what's going on, everyone? Isaiah Henry here, First Position Real Estate. I help government employees invest in real estate so that they can build wealth and retire early. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. Super excited to be here. We have Charles K coming on today. That's investment focused mortgage broker. Haven't had a lot of, not too many money people on today. So there's Charles right there. Let me get him right in here and we'll get this thing going. Give me one sec, Charles. Let me get you in here. Da, 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 da. No, don't cancel. All right, Josh should be dropping in anytime soon. Super excited for this conversation. It's funny, Charles and I have a long connection back in the day. He's seen someone I went to high school with, so it's just crazy the way things wrap up. Uh-oh,
There
there he
he
is.
is,
There he is in the flesh. How's it going, brother?
Mr. Henry. I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing well, Charles. I'm doing well. How are you?
Busy, man. Just wrapping up at the office. So perfect way to wrap up with a live.
There you go. There you go. Hey, man, I've been super excited about this one from when we set it up. A whole lot of value here. If you don't mind, I'll do a quick introduction if that's cool.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
As he said, my name is Charles Kaitaba. I'm an investor focused mortgage specialist here in the GTA, but I service across Canada. So it really doesn't matter where you're looking to buy. 9 times out of 10, I am able to help. Right now, I do a lot like residential, commercial, segueing mainly into commercial now, considering what's happening within the market. So pivoting my business model there, but yeah, I've been in this game for about 2.5 years. And investors and investment properties, what I do is what I breathe.
I love it, man. I love it, man. I've been seeing your stuff on social. I've actually, met a couple people that you've done deals with there, and it really sparked my interest. Following your stuff, man, this is going to be a great live here. So what I got three questions for you. If you got a couple for me at the end, feel free to throw those on at the end. Sounds good?
For sure, for sure. Let's do it.
Excellent, man. So first question up. Obviously, the interest rates are going up. They're rising. Bank of Canada thinks they have the fix for inflation, but, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Between fixed and variable rates, what do we choose? Like, especially as an investor, what do we choose, or what's your insight between the fixed and the variable rate?
No, man, that's a really good question, and it's a little bit cliche, but it's a loaded question. But I would
Yes, I
honestly
know, I
say,
know.
I would honestly say it really depends on what are you looking to do within your portfolio within the next 1 to 5 years, right? Naturally, in the mortgage term being 1 to 5. Now, if you are buying a long term property.
Oh, sorry, I think I lost your audio there. Yeah, yeah, okay, got it back. We're good, we're good.
Sorry, maybe I think it's the Wi-Fi. And you're really not looking for any movement within the next 1 to 5 years. I wouldn't probably consider doing a 5 year fix because, like you said, they are pretty aggressive right now on the rates. 3 years, 3 years is looking pretty good. At least it gives you time to watch the economy potentially rebound. Again, those are big cliffhangers, what if scenarios. Um, but honestly, variable is still a very attractive option for investors, right? You're still looking to get in the variable between 3 to 3.5%. Gives you a little more flexibility as an investor if you're looking to complete a BRRRR, right? Being able to be in and out with low breaking penalties. And on top of that, again, you're still saving money on a monthly basis. Probably be able to see a little more cash flow compared to locking in, right?
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I think you hit it on the head there because, a lot of people ask you that black and white, what do I pick, fixed or variable? But you kind of broke it down right at the beginning. It's not what, it's what's your strategy or what's your position there. Like for me as an
Exactly.
investor, and I'm definitely in a growth mode, I can see why variables attracted to me. But if you talk to me in maybe 15, 20 years when I'm looking to wrap stuff up and really kind of let that thing ride, maybe fix is a better situation for me. So I love that. And I love that there's, investment focused brokers out there who can kind of give that information to their clients.
No, no, like 100%, and like we said, right? It really depends on the portfolio and what exactly you're looking to do with it. Someone like yourself, and if I understand, you're looking to acquire, so you're in this aggressive acquisition mode. So you're constantly buying, refining, right? Buying, refi. It doesn't make sense to go into a fix because you're going to be paying out the wahoo in breaking penalties, right?
Yeah.
So having that 3 months interest is something you can calculate when you're running your numbers, right? When you're going into a deal, you already know what are going to be some of the costs that you're going to take on in getting out of the mortgage and trying to retain some of the capital you dumped into it, right? Um, but yeah,
No, that's perfect, man. I love that. There. Anything more to add? I got another question coming up for you right here.
no, no, for sure. Ask away, ask away.
All right, man. So I feel like the mortgage agent space is getting kind of saturated. As a realtor myself, I literally feel that I saw some crazy stat that in Durham region, 1 in 84 people have their real estate license. I'm like, what the heck? So in terms of like, that saturated market, how does having an investment focused mortgage agent separate yourself, or why is it important to use one?
Again, another very good question. So I don't no gun to my head, but I believe the statistic is something like around 50% of brokers uh, lose their license or are inactive after the first year, right? In Ontario.
Wow.
So 50% after the first year are gone, and naturally, I think it's around 80% after 5 years are complete out of the business, right? Because not you have to understand actually we're only going after retail buyers, so the occasional individuals who are just looking to maybe buy a first home for their family. They may refi after 5 to 10 years, right? They may potentially pick up one more property, but that's pretty much it, right? um, that type of business model is volume based. You have to have a very large network and of people within your inner circle who are constantly going to be feeding you deals. But for someone like yourself who's an investor, you understand the typical investor might be doing anywhere between 2 to 5 ends a year, right?
Yep.
Whether it be a flip, whether it be a burr, right? Maybe a private lending deal. There's a lot more activity. So being an investor focused real estate professional, whether it be on the acquisition side like yourself or on the financing side, you put yourself in a position to be in front of more real estate deals, which obviously increases your knowledge. And naturally on the back end, you're compensated fairly for that, right?
There you go. I like that. I like that. I didn't know that stat. Like I knew, especially in the real estate agent space, a lot of people get in, don't do anything, and they get out. But I didn't know the turnover was so high in the agent space as well.
Yeah. It's like 50% of brokers the first year, and then 80% after 4 years are
Oh,
are are usually gone.
man, that's crazy. Yeah. So at that point, you really gotta like know who you're working with, or because if you're working with somebody, let's call it fly by night, you do one deal with them and then you try to go back to them, do it in the next year. They're like, hey, man, I'm not in the business anymore. I didn't do that. You're like, oh my gosh, I have to start building this relationship all over, which then again kind of goes to our point of working with an investment focused agent like yourself.
No, for sure. And again, like there's so many different parts of real estate, right? So I think a lot of people get in for the first year gung ho. Obviously we're in Ontario where the real estate deals are usually a little bit bigger, especially if you're looking in the Durham or GTA area. Naturally, the house prices are north of 1 million at this point, right?
Yeah.
The average single family home, or just about $1 million. So people are already starting counting their commissions before even doing a deal, but they don't realize there's a lot of stuff that goes into it before you even touch your first commission check, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the biggest issue. And again, what I found personally is that a lot of people like real estate, but they don't like the business of real estate, right? And I always like to separate the two, because those who are actually within the business of real estate, they understand that you are much more than an agent, right? You're much more than just selling a property or buying a property. You are running numbers, you're looking at comps, you're looking at the economy, right? And making sure that, okay, based off these strategic renovations, you're going to add X amount of dollars to the house value, right? Depending on what part of the city you're in. All these things come into consideration. There's actually a lot more numbers that go into it, right? Which ends up in having a successful realtor like yourself on the team. And the back end works with me as a mortgage broker. When I'm speaking with my clients, it's never about now, what they want to do now, right? It's always like, okay, what are you trying to do with your either single primary home or your portfolio within the next 5 years, all right?
Yeah.
Or if not the next
Exactly.
5 years, the next 10 years. Okay, so let's now reverse engineer to make sure you're in the best position moving forward. So if I know, for example, someone like yourself is looking to acquire quickly, there's no way in hell I'm ever going to even talk about a fixed rate. It doesn't even make any sense, right? Because you're going to be in and out of that property probably within a year at the very most.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Right?
So that just speaks to their knowledge, your experience, and I think you made a really good point that like a lot of people like real estate, but they don't like the business. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's so cool," you're looking at properties and stuff. I'm like, bruh, you don't know the kind of nonsense numbers I'm pulling up on this, hitting the spreadsheets, the stuff I'm
Yes.
analyzing to make all that stuff on the front end look really cool, right?
Right. Right. And
Right?
even
So, hey, you're right in there with me right there. Let me get you my last question here. So I'll give you like kind of a live scenario.
yeah, yeah.
So an investor gets their first property, their nice single family home, cash flows a little bit. They're like, oh, baby. They got bit with the real estate bug and they want to keep going. But they hit what I like to call the BBW, the big bank wall. And they're like, man, where do I go? And you like that one, eh? You
Yeah, I
like that
like
one?
that one.
So they hit that big bank wall and they're like, crap, I can't do anything else. As an investment focused agent, what are their options or what can they look into to keep growing?
All right, so actually, one of my close friends, he's actually a broker himself. Shout out to Synergy Mortgages because they talked about this, but net zero income properties, right? So essentially, what some people don't understand is that if you're hunting for a deal, all right, ideally, if the cash flow or the rental income, I should say, on the property, all right, can service double the mortgage payment, there are some lenders that will result in essentially net zero, meaning you can continue to acquire with the A banks, with that particular A bank, right?
Yeah,
So, for example, if the mortgage payment is $1,000 a month, all right, and the rental income that you can collect from said property is $2,000 a month, well, it's almost as net zero. You can keep qualifying for the mortgage.
that's good. I like that. And I feel like I've heard that out there, but I've never really heard it like explained so articulately. For me, I
Right.
obviously look at properties with that. Would you mind going just maybe a tad deeper? Is it just as simple as, hey, mortgage is this, rent payments is this, automatically qualify, or is there anything that has to do with your
No, no, no.
income,
Obviously,
asset?
you're still going through your standard qualification
Okay.
purposes, credit, income, things like that, right? You still have to be able to, again, debt service for the mortgage, but essentially, it's not going to impede on future acquisitions.
There you go. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to look at it. Because especially like you said, you're talking with your clients about acquisitions 3, 4, 5 years in the future. And if they're like, hey, I like this deal, I think it's going to appreciate and it's really cash flow negative, you're like, that might be not the best deal if you're looking to grow because it's going to impact your borrowing power and buying power going forward.
Right, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit more, considering you're more front facing with clients and taking them out to properties. I personally don't, especially over COVID. What we're seeing now is people ran numbers based off appreciation, not cash flow, and those same individuals, I find that they're putting themselves in a little bit of a pickle because now they're going to be forced to sell if affordability isn't met, right? Which again, why cash is personally, I think cash is king, right? Because the cash flow, even if it dwindles a little bit, it's still there to hold you up, right?
100%. And you make a great point there. Like when I started real estate, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to retire and get rich off the cash flow. That's not true. The cash flow is there to pretty much service your property. Whereas you actually make money over time as the mortgages pay down, the appreciation happens. But if you don't have the cash flow, you don't have the stomach to stay in the game long enough because you'll
Exactly.
be in like 2, 3 years. You can't even hold the property because you're literally bleeding and then you have to sell maybe at a loss, and then your whole portfolio starts coming down that way. So like you said, cash flow is very important, especially if you're looking to make your portfolio grow in a longevity kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like you said, sustainability, right? I'm depending on how much you get paid on the T4 side, the income side. If none of your properties are cash flowing, sooner or later they're going to bleed you dry, right? Because you have to think about vacancies, you have to think about repairs, property management and things like that. So exactly, if you want to be in this game long term, yes, debt paid down, appreciation helps on the refi process, right? But you do want cash flow to hold you long term.
Exactly. It's got to be there. I don't think it's something where like, you need to, on your first year, cash flow $1,000 a door. I don't think those are the deals you have to go after, but you got to have at least enough cash flow to service that property so you can hold it in the long term. But we could get into a whole nother conversation just on cash flow and where that metric is on a
Yeah.
property there. But that's all my questions for you. Did you have any questions for me before we wrap it up?
Yeah, no, actually, I did. So, I want to know what are you seeing on your end? Like, naturally, everyone always asks me, interest rates are rising. That's pretty
Yeah.
obvious at this point, right? And probably when they meet again in July, we're probably going to see another hike with the Bank of Canada. Again, that's my personal opinion. Obviously, they still need to sit down and discuss. But right now, I want to know, what are you seeing on your end in terms of, are you seeing more deals on the market come up? Properties are staying a little bit longer. They're not being sold as quickly.
100%. So what I'm seeing I'll go to the single family space. So in the single family space, people aren't getting the numbers they're wanting to. If you want to go pre-pandemic or pandemic numbers, your house is going to sit there. You're going to end up taking it down. The listing gets stale. You put it back up and you don't get the number you want. So a lot of realtors, we're not going that route right now. But what I'm
Right.
also seeing is that good properties are still selling. Like, I'm out in
Yeah.
Durham. I'm still seeing stuff get, 5, 6, 7 offers. Now it's not blown out of the water going for 1,000,001 on a townhome, but you're still seeing, houses getting, you know, multiple offers in the 5 to 7 range. Like I still think there's still some competition out there, but what I'm actually seeing is a whole lot more in the off market game. A lot of people got a little greedy. They went HELOC heavy. They were just refinance HELOC down payment, refinance HELOC down payment. And now all that down payment went up and all the carrying costs of those properties went up and they're like, oh crap, I'm drowning. What am I going to do? So I'm seeing some stuff. I'm hearing some realtors talking like, hey, listen, my guy's gotta sell. You have a buyer, or, my guy's gotta sell. So I'm seeing that a little bit. And I do see maybe in the next 6 months to a year, a couple of people are going to be forced to sell, and unfortunately, probably at a loss.
Yeah, for sure. And that just goes to it by not running your numbers or not having the cash flow, right? Because
Yep.
if the properties that you were getting into were cash flowing the way they needed to, ideally you should have been able to at least been able to stomach maybe a 25 to 50 basis point increase, right?
Exactly.
Right, and at least that would maybe try to ride out this wave for however long it's going to be. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but this what happens, right?
Yeah. But you know what? I'm not that mad because, at
You,
first position real estate, we play the fundamentals. So I'm hungry, bro. I'm hungry. I've been
yeah,
looking at those deals daily. Something's coming for you, boy. You already know.
this why it's important to stay liquid, right? This is why it's
Yeah.
important to stay liquid. Um, like even myself, I'm in the same boat, right? I've just been kind of hoarding cash on the side and just waiting. I think if my predictions are right, if we start to see another rate hike come in July, that's really going to force people in an uncomfortable position and really take a look at their portfolio. Okay, this is the portfolio. These properties, these bottom 20% of my properties aren't performing the way they need to be. Let's dump them ASAP. We'll take the
Yeah.
loss, and I think it's important to have these type of ebbs and flows within the market because it forces investors and even some retail buyers to really look at their portfolio and their homes like, okay, was this a right buy for us?
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
And if not, get rid of it.
That's what I mean. And I have a tough time with that. Like I have one in mind that I'm like, man, if I get another couple of rate hikes, I'm gonna have to sell this one. Not because I bought it bad. Like the way I bought it, like, I have no money in that deal. But just the way I've been like I've been using that to really leverage my portfolio going forward. And I'm like, these increases are really hurting the cash flow. So that might be one I gotta think about selling, but that's a whole story for another day. To be honest, like the market is what it is. Rates go up, rates go down. It's just a game we're playing. So
For
you can
sure.
either cry about it, sell, be mad, or you can just get better at the game we're playing.
That's what it is. But now everyone thinks like you. Now everyone thinks like you. So the majority of them are going to probably choose the latter, to be honest with you.
And that's okay. If they choose the latter, don't worry. We just keep eating then. We keep eating. If they want to sell, we'll figure out ways to make it work.
That's the game of business, right?
That's good. That's good, man. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, man. I want to say I appreciate you taking the time to bring me on. Also, I want to give a big shout out to First Position Real Estate. I've been watching you for a little bit now. Thoroughly,
Okay.
thoroughly impressed with what you're doing from a social media standpoint, from a business, and even picking up, really exploring those off-market opportunities. And we'll definitely be in touch. We'll definitely be in touch.
100%, man. I can't wait. Like, I love meeting different people online. Like I said at the beginning, it's so funny, such a small world. Like, we're connected through a mutual friend that I knew in high school and now, which is just crazy. And we're both,
Yeah, yeah.
in the real estate industry. But anyway, let me wrap it up. Isaiah Henry here, First Position Real Estate. I help government employees in Ontario invest in real estate so they can build wealth and retire early. We had on Charles today, which is an awesome, awesome episode, investment-focused mortgage broker. Charles, where can people reach out and find out more about you?
Yeah, you can honestly, Instagram is probably the easiest and fastest way to connect with me. _Charles Kaitaba. I'm always posting either real estate or some sort of mortgage product online every Friday, Funded Fridays. Also, you can follow me on LinkedIn at Charles Kaitaba, but Instagram is probably the easiest. Link trees in the bio. Book a call anytime.
Love it, man. Love it, man. And I think there's a couple questions that popped up for you, Charles. So if you don't see those, I'll forward them to you, make sure we can answer all the people looking for good info. But for now, again, it's Isaiah Henry. It's Charles. Thank you so much for your time today, and we'll talk soon. All right, buddy?
No problem, boss. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care.